Here you are live.
Good morning. My name is Donna Bailey, and I chair this illustrious Civic Center Commission, and very proudly. Today, we are virtual and will continue to be virtual until notice from Buncombe County. The committee members are here, and I will take a roll call. Corey Atkins, if you just raise your hand so people know who you are, if they can see you. Shay Brown.
Here.
John Ellis is not here today. Krista Sinkovich.
Here.
Nicole Lee. No. Yvonne Cook Reynolds. Riley, I'm sorry, Yvonne. How are you? And Mukunda, are you here? Yeah.
Here.
Good. Great. Well, the first thing we need to do is the approval of the last month's minutes, the November minutes. Has everybody had a chance to look at them? All
I
right.
make a motion.
Are there any questions on the minutes or any corrections? Do I have someone who would like to approve the minutes?
I approve the minutes.
Okay, a second?
I'll second.
Okay, minutes are approved. Now we're going to continue on to an informal discussion. And first, unfortunately, Annette Mosley is not going to be able to attend today because due to a conflict. So why don't we turn to Demp Bradford for his report.
Good morning, everyone, or I guess afternoon now, right? 12:01. Really excited. We have some exciting things coming up. We just completed the Asheville Championship a couple of weeks ago. I think the tournament has a lot of potential for growth. I think there probably are some concerns that, our marketing efforts to get local people in and out are going to need to continue to increase. And think, anytime you have a first year event, there are a lot of learning curves. But I think we have a lot of expertise between Chris and I on things that we've done strategically with the Southern Conference and other events to drive ticket sales and sponsorships. So we look forward to some good discussion with them. Next weekend, December 17 and 18, we have the Ingalls Great Smoky Mountain Grapple. Ingalls is a great sponsor for this event. We will hopefully have 32 wrestling teams. We had 31 this morning. We've got a team that had been in the tournament for since the inception and decided they were going to go somewhere else and now have asked to come back home. So Science Hill out of Johnson City, they're a powerhouse in Tennessee. So we're just trying to work through National Federation to get them involved. But if you look at the first year of the tournament, there were 12 teams. We always say that the third year there were 12 mats. We'll be trying to go with 10 mats this year. That's a very laborious task, but the exciting thing is that we will continue to try to grow our women's portion of the tournament. Our girls actually is what the term is for wrestling. It is now a sanctioned sport by the NCAA, and there is movement in the state of North Carolina to try to increase the numbers so that it is a sanctioned sport, individual sport in North Carolina. So also we're working currently with Ingalls and CW on a television package, whether it's live or it may have to be tape delay, but originally it was scheduled to be live, but I think there's going to be some production challenges that we were made aware of yesterday. As you know, I think we've talked before, Gala Gymnastics made a decision based on some health concerns with their tournament staff that they would not be in Asheville this year, and that's January 7th through the 9th, but we have been able to fill that with an American Cornhole League open tournament. So hopefully we can drive visitors and probably make up a third of what we would have had with the gymnastics, but it's again continuing to brand the American Cornhole League. The Southern Conference Championships are March 3rd through the 7th. We are out aggressively working on our sponsorship with our sponsorship committee to renew sponsorships. That's one of the ways that we pay for this event is our local sponsorships. And but right now they've had a couple of really good upsets. Tomorrow night, if you would like a preview, Chattanooga, who is projected to be the top team, is actually going to be playing at Kimmel Arena at UNC Asheville. Chattanooga has a high-profile transfer from the University of Kansas. So the portal has really made college basketball a little bit more competitive. Again, Wofford and Furman and ETSU are pretty much slated to also be in the top four, but it's kind of neat to have Chattanooga back in the mix. And then, of course, as you know, we announced a couple weeks ago that we had the Billie Jean King Cup, April 15th and 16th. We will be opening up the volunteer portal pretty soon. That event is going to be on a Friday and Saturday instead of a Saturday, Sunday. It is Good Friday is the Friday event, and we're hoping that will actually make it easier for people to attend the Friday matches. And I think probably late February is when we'll find out who's going to be on the team. But we've had some great calls with that. So, and we continue to work on other events that work well for this venue. And Chris and I are always, and our teams are always, trying to move to the next level with everything. And the one question I can't answer, so Chris, I'll let Chris answer eventually, is where our ticket sales for our tennis. That seems to be everybody on every call asks me where ticket sales are. So I haven't gotten an update in the last couple of days from Chris on that one. But overall, really excited about, having, our goal, especially in the December to March window, is to have at least one sports event in the venue. And so we're pretty much on target with that, because I know we've got some cheerleading and other things that are also in the building in January and February. So any questions?
Any questions for Deb? Good job, Deb, getting everything that, and replacing the tournament that you missed.
Yeah, the gymnastics is a big loss for us because it's one that we've built here. It's a homegrown event, but I'm confident that they will be back next year, bigger and stronger.
That's great. Good for you. Next is a CVB report. Marshall Hilliard.
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. You may recall last month I reported a slight increase in our interest levels, what we measure as lead volume. I'm happy to report that November made a great rebound, and we had a total of 84 new leads in November of 21 at 21,800 room nights, and that compares to the 2019 lead volume of 80 total leads and 16,600 room nights. So that's right at about a 30% increase that we're thankful to see. A big part of that was our IMEX show. IMAX is the largest meeting planner trade show that is held in Las Vegas, and it was in early November. We had a total of 76 scheduled appointments with clients. We had 11 new leads, and compared to other destinations I spoke with, we had a great deal more interest than many. So pleased to have that. Other travel in November, we attended the National Tour Association meeting with domestic tour operators. And then we attended Travel South International, which is the equivalent on the international level, meeting with folks that bring folks into the country through tour operators, receptive operators, et cetera. Also in November, we hosted our 48-hour meeting planner FAM tour. It's an opportunity to get familiar with Asheville as a destination. We had 10 meeting planners, 9 of whom had never been to Asheville. And we've already received one new lead opportunity from one of the attendees for a February of 22 piece of business over one of our need times. And then lastly, our holiday party is tomorrow, Wednesday the 8th, for Explore Asheville at the Center for Craft, and hope I see many of you there.
What are people telling you is the reason they are interested in coming to Asheville?
It's a great question, Donna. I'd like to say it's, the word has gotten out, and there are also some dynamics working in our favor. In addition to the marketing over the years, the trend now is more regional, smaller destinations, and smaller events as well. So I talked to several customers who were not doing their mega annual convention, but they were doing regional meetings and had heard about Asheville, maybe been here for a leisure trip, but hadn't thought of it as a meetings destination. So those are the couple of the dynamics that are working for us, in addition to the outdoor nature of Asheville.
That's great. Anyone have any questions for Marshall?
I've got one. Marshall, there's a few seats open on the Tourism Product Development Fund board right now. Can you talk about that process in case anyone's interested here in this group?
I think I will defer to Vic on that if she's still on the call.
I am. Good day, everyone. So, yes, in our November board meeting, the Buncombe County Tourism Development Authority approved restarting a grant cycle on the Tourism Product Development Fund. So there is a Tourism Product Development Fund subcommittee that accepts and reviews grant proposals as part of that process, and then they make recommendations to the TDA board. So a grant cycle will open in the spring of calendar year 2022, and there's a 2-phase process that will then bring the committee recommendations to the BC TDA board in the October meeting next year. So it's a 9-member committee. There are currently 4 members on the committee, and on exploreasheville.com, there is a link and there's a page. If you just Google Explore Asheville TDA, or I can provide a link in the chat here for anyone interested. They're taking letters of interest through the first part of January, and then there'll be a nominating committee that will appoint and make recommendations for those new 5 committee members.
Is there any particular skill that you happen to be looking for on that committee?
So per the guidelines, a majority of the seats must be filled by owners or operators of accommodations. And then also looking for folks that have experience in finance and marketing. So again, I can put that in the chat here as we continue on in the meeting.
Great, thank you. Does anybody else have any questions for Vic? All right, thank you.
My pleasure.
Yvonne, did you?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Okay.
For Marshall, as you travel around the country and things like this, do you see an increased interest in our facilities of the Civic Center in the package that you're presenting to prospective meeting planners and things like this, that gives us hope that we will be justifying some of the changes that we want to do?
Yeah, I do. It's a great question, and part of the story, along with the the smaller events, goes obviously with trade show space as well. So there is an interest in multi-hotel events with use of our Civic Center to accommodate the meetings. So I'm encouraged by the increased interest there as well.
How large are your regional events? What size do they tend to be?
I would say up to 300 rooms peak, and varying sizes of exhibit space usage.
Mm-hmm.
But that's our sweet spot for events using our Civic Center would be in that range, 300 rooms peak.
Mm-hmm. Great. Does anybody else have any other questions? Marshall, thank you so much. Yeah, appreciate it. Asheville Symphony update. Is Daniel or?
Hey everyone, Daniel Krupe here, Executive Director of Asheville Symphony. We had a really successful opening night in November on November 20th of our Masterwork series. Great attendance, solid reviews on the concert. We feel like it's a successful start to the season. Some interesting trends that we are seeing, which you all might be able to corroborate in your own universes. Late buyers seem to be reigning supreme right now. We had a ton of walk-up sales and online sales the day of the event and the day prior to the concert, which is highly unusual in the symphony world. And I hear that is consistent with the experience of other venues in the area, including the Wortham and Harrah's to an extent. Our full subscription packages are trending lower than what we expected, even with reduced goals, but our pick 3, pick 4, our flexible subscriptions where you kind of build your own subscription are far more popular than usual. Again, that's probably not unexpected given the COVID climate. People value flexibility right now. And our single tickets, we actually sold about double what we usually do in single tickets for the opening Masterworks of the season. So just some interesting trends, but perhaps not unexpected given the current climate and trends we've been seeing even prior to COVID. Also, one other thing that I know Chris has told me they're seeing at Harrah's and the Wortham, I understand is also seeing, is that of those people that buy a ticket, probably about 20 to 25% don't show, or maybe 15 to 20% don't show. And I think that's probably COVID related, and we're seeing that at our venue as well as elsewhere in the community. So just some interesting trends. We have a New Year's Eve concert coming up soon, Motown, R&B, and Soul. It's going to be really fun at Thomas Wolfe Auditorium on New Year's. We're excited about that. And we're adding several additional programs this spring outside of Thomas Wolfe Auditorium, taking the orchestra out into the community and embedding it in unexpected locations. We'll have some more details on that soon. Thanks to Vic and Explore Asheville for helping sponsor that particular initiative. So thanks, Vic. We're working to solidify next season, which is our 22-23 season. We have our dates. We're booking our artists and getting everything all set. It's going to be a really exciting year. Part of that season will be the return of the Asheville Amadeus Festival, which I'm sure all of you are very familiar with. We run that usually every other year. Last year, actually 2021 was supposed to be an Amadeus year, and obviously COVID sort of got in the way of that. So we're bringing that back in the spring of 23. We're making a few changes to it. I think it's going to be really exciting. We're going to actually end our season with it in May of 23 rather than sticking it kind of in the middle of our wintry months. And we have some really exciting plans there that I'm excited to announce soon. And we're looking forward, of course, to inviting myriad community organizations to participate in that festival and make it the celebration of Asheville's arts and culture and food and beverage scene that it always has been. It's going to be a lot of fun. Finally, we are confirmed for another Symphony in the Park performance at downtown at Pack Square Park in 2022. We just heard from the city last week that will be included in August of 22 for another free symphony concert for the benefit of the community. It was such a success this last year with about 6,000 to 7,000, maybe a little more people attending. We couldn't stand not to offer it again, given the success of this year's event. And hopefully we see similar success on the scale of this year when we offer it in August of 22. So that's exciting news that we were really pumped to hear from the city. Otherwise, more exciting news on this year's added programs and next year's season to be announced. That's my update. Any questions I can answer?
Well, it sounds like you really have an exciting program, and we're all excited to hear what is coming up as well. So congratulations on your successes.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We're now going to go to our general manager, Chris Corl, for his reports.
Hey, hope everybody's doing good today. So I'll run through some upcoming events first. We've, since our last meeting, announced 4 big ones, a good number of them in between, but the biggest being the Billie Jean King Cup return, which is what you might know as Fed Cup. That's been to town twice before. It's got a new name now. So Billie Jean King Cup coming in April. Ticket sales are going pretty well for that. It's on track to do very similar to the last 2 times, which it sold out both days each time it's played Asheville before. So like Dem said, once we get the teams set, which will be about 30 days prior to the event, we'll be able to really push that, what players are coming, how it's going to go. And I think sales will finish out pretty strong based on the team once it's announced. U.S. women's tennis right now is really strong. We also announced Nick Cave, who's returning for the first time in I think 4 or 5 years. That event sold out in about 2 days. We announced Chicago, which went up on sale and is sold at about half the house at this point, which is going pretty well. And that event's going to be in May. And this morning we announced a 2-night run in the ExploreAsheville.com arena with Tame and Paula, who last time they played here sold out 1 night in about a day. And so that's going to go on sale Friday and hopefully blows out pretty quickly. Good number of arena events that are still slated to get announced and on sale in the next couple months. End of April looks like it's going to be absolutely wild here for us between Billie Jean King Cup, and looks like we might have 7 or 8 concerts the last week of April, depending. So it's going to be a little nuts for a bit. That's about it on the upcoming events side. Venue COVID policy discussion, really just kind of following up on the last meeting. Since the last meeting, we did change our policy slightly, mainly to help focus on the sport events and the youth sport events specifically that are at the point that they have to announce or cancel. So we made the change to let the band and or promoter make the decision on what total restrictions were there for COVID entry policy. So it can be as little as whatever the government mandate is, which right now, as we all know, is masks required indoors at all time, except for when actively eating or drinking, all the way up to proof of vaccination only and anywhere in between. Most of our concert events have stuck with the proof of vaccination or negative test required within 72 hours for entry and mask. It's the youth cheer, youth dance events, the grapple event that we're having with wrestling, pretty much anything in like the high school, middle school sport range really needed that mask only requirement in order to make sense. And thus far, that show, and we just had a country concert this past weekend, those are the only ones that have really made the shift down to a less restrictive entry policy. But we're working through it. We're getting Ticketmaster updated where necessary, the website updated, and really it's just a lot of communication with our ticket sellers to be able to answer the phone and give the right information to the public as they're calling to understand what the entry policy is for the given show. Any questions on that one? I'm sure there might be some. No. All right. Well, that's easy peasy then. So then the last one, new additional facilities. So upcoming soon, there'll be a formal public announcement, but starting in January, the city is consolidating some of the facilities and operations throughout different departments, moving some facilities and operations from Park and Rec and from Community and Economic Development and us all into one new group, name to be determined. But we're going to consolidate together the Harris Cherokee Center, the WNC Nature Center, Aston Park Tennis Center, McCormick Stadium, Municipal Golf Course, John B. Lewis Soccer Complex, and Outdoor Special Events Office are all going to be consolidated into one new department. I've got a couple of names that are in the mix that I can float out to get some thoughts on. But like the general elevator speech of the concept behind this is there was a recent retirements of two different department directors, the Community and Economic Development Director, Sam Powers, and the Parks and Recreation Director, Roderick Simmons, who both retired in between April and July of 2021. And so it's kind of an opportune time to consolidate all the facilities. It allows a new Parks and Rec director to be really program focused. It allows our new Community and Economic Development Director, Nikki Reed, to really focus on affordable housing and homelessness issues, which are their top priorities in community and economic development right now. And really, like, all of these facilities are kind of working their way towards a better business plan. So here at the center, we've doubled our annual event load and regional impact in less than a decade. The Nature Center has increased annual attendance figures by nearly 80,000 in less than a decade. Aston Park Tennis Center has recently been recognized as a U.S. Tennis Association Level 2 tournament site. The Municipal Golf Course, McCormick Field, where the tourists play, and John B. Lewis Soccer Complex are all regional facilities that are managed by contracted operators, so they all make sense together. And Outdoor Special Events works regularly with all of these facilities and sites and really is in need of like a centralized support system. So it makes sense for them to come in and join with us all as well. And so bringing all the facilities together creates a consolidated approach to long-term regional funding, sponsorship opportunities, efficiencies in operations and staffing, and allows each facility a better opportunity to continue growth and serve more people while growing the programming. Since all of us are kind of regional or seasonal in one way, shape, or form, the hope is that we can share staff across, share resources, and become more of a year-round operation altogether. I don't know how that would affect the Civic Center Commission, which has been built since the 70s as for just the Civic Center, but I imagine it would expand to include all of these spaces. Any thoughts, questions? I know it's just a real quick overview, and I can go more in depth for anybody would like. Yvonne?
Yvonne.
Yeah, thank you. As we look at this opportunity and how, and you didn't answer the question, but you alluded to it, is how is it going to affect us as a overseeing commission that oversees the operation of the Civic Center complex? And now we're going to add to your responsibility not only the the baseball field, the soccer field, the golf field, and the tennis. That's a big package, and we had some publicity that it was in the letters to the editor a couple Sundays ago that kind of, threw that old question about what do we do in case of an incident happening and having crowd control management and things like this. So as you look at these different things, is this commission going to have an opportunity to have input to what development is going to happen and how that development also ties into our tourist from coming in from around the country and things like this, and how we can enhance these facilities to facilitate these things. How does it all tie together, and who's handling the public relations?
And what was the very last thing you said?
I want to know who's handling the public relations. Is it going to be piecemeal all around, or is it going to be a central individual that will handle the public relations for these different spaces and things like this? Is the city going to be responsible? Is the tourist bureau going to be responsible? Is the and coordinating the public relations, Corey's group with the city's leaders in business and things like this. It sounds like an awesome opportunity for us to take advantage and kind of put something behind it publicly and a good face, and to promote stability and continuity. That's my comment.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I think I got all your questions here, but so first of all, commission, each one of these spaces already ties to a commission in one way, shape, or form. So it's figuring out how that divvies. For example, outdoor special events in the past has any new policy updates, changes, etc., have gone through PED, which is the Planning and Economic Development Commission. I imagine that may shift over into us and or be both potentially. A lot of what John Philman over there has been economic development, strategic partnerships. So like how we've supported outdoor special events in the past as a city is in-kind trade or sometimes cash incentives for certain events based on economic incentives. So like if they can meet certain impact requirements, this, that, or the other thing. And so that's gone through PED in the past. I imagine that is going to stay similar, or if it changes, that might affect where that goes, but in theory, it could come through here. The Nature Center has the Friends of the Nature Center as a nonprofit board that assists there, but also they go through the Parks and Greenway Commission, which is what most of Parks and Rec support goes through. So I think some of these facilities in operation in theory would naturally transfer over. Honestly, the question of like, how does it affect the Civic Center Commission and or these other ones came up pretty late in this game, like last month, in the whole, like, how does this change things? Because your board, just like all of these other boards, was created by an official ordinance by city council. This one way back in the 70s. I don't know about the other ones. So you would have to change the ordinance, and legal's working on that. Like the question is to the city manager's office, what do we want each group to be in charge of or oversee? And how does that need to divvy up? And then legal will write it up to get it to the council level to be changed. PR, right now, there's no public relations or marketing for any of those sites, with the exception of the Nature Center that the city operates. So Parks and Rec has supported Nature Center. That's now going to fall into our world. So it'll be some Nature Center staff and Matthew on our end who will handle all things marketing and advertising. Aston Park Tennis Center has $1,000 advertising budget a year, so I think we can absorb that and take care of that for them, so that shouldn't be too hard. All the other sites don't have an advertising budget because they're managed by an outside group. So Municipal Golf, McCormick Stadium, John B. Lewis Soccer, each have their own management companies who are in charge of the marketing and advertising plan. And then coming through with it, they basically just pay us, the city, a lease payment, and then we need to manage the lease, whether that's dealing with work orders for issues at buildings or working with them on capital improvement plans. I actually haven't seen the lease for how John B. Lewis Soccer is set up, but both Muni Golf and McCormick Field are set up that essentially we, the city, are in charge of keeping up the building, just like a landlord would be. and they run all things operation. And so that's really where we'd be coming in. And each of those 2 sites has a lot of capital improvement needs. So we're here to help work through any granting process, finding grants to apply for, working on the city side to lobby to get capital improvement dollars to upgrade the facilities. Generally just kind of assisting where Parks wasn't able to, or hopefully assisting where Parks wasn't able to. Hopefully it's not just the facility issue, and hopefully it's something we can jump in and help with. And then at the Nature Center, general operations, really, they run themselves. They're kind of like us. They're on their own little island on the east side of town. We're on our own little island on the north side of downtown. The big thing that we're going to have to take on for the Nature Center is their administrative support. All of their admin support comes from City Hall side, Parks and Rec, and that is not traveling over. So we're going to need to find a way to absorb that time and hopefully hire a person to help cover that. But really all the bodies that are associated with each facility are traveling over, and so it should be like continued operation for all of them. So hopefully we can create bigger and better advertising partnerships, leverage more dollars by consolidating it all into one account. Matthew's pretty good about getting a bunch of good trade dollars off of real cash, and if we've got bigger budgets by combining all of them, hopefully there's an opportunity to really grow that.
Demp, did you have a question?
I just wanted to comment. I mean, Chris and I have been working on this for a couple of years, or I guess probably since COVID started. We had a conversation about this, and I just think it's very beneficial. Chris's expertise in working with taking facilities and doing great things with them. And he mentioned there's several of the facilities that need a little love and attention, to put it lightly. And then with all of the ones that are independently contracted, Chris has a very good knowledge of that. I think it also allows us to take the resources Chris's staff Chris has the staff with special events and handling events and facilities maintenance, that if he needs to lean on some experts, he has those in the building. So I think there's nothing but positives, especially from the Sports Commission standpoint, but overall, I think this is a totally positive move, and I'm glad that we've finally been able to make it happen. And we totally support it and have been part of the process from the beginning of how it would work.
Chris, I have a question. Are you going to be in the position of making the decisions regarding the outside contractors who are managing the facilities now?
That decision ultimately is council, but we would like our department would be like the staff suggestion, which oftentimes they follow staff suggestion. For example, the lease with the Asheville Tourists expires at the end of this month. So we're on council's agenda for the first meeting in January to build a small 2-year extension with them as we work through trying to find a way to renovate that stadium. Major League Baseball created a new, almost like a health score, like a facility assessment requirement for all of their developmental leagues. And so there's a pretty big need at the McCormick Field in order for them to keep their license with Major League Baseball. So we're working through a plan and a process with them to try to find a way to fund that and what the priorities are with the money that we can raise in order to help keep minor league baseball here in Asheville. Municipal golf, that lease ends in September of 2022 with Pope Golf LLC. So we're kind of in the point right now of renegotiating with them, seeing if there's a way that we can make a good extension that makes good business sense for both us and them. If not, we'll RFQ it, see who's out there and potentially make a switch in the management. I don't imagine we would want to bring that back in-house, but I guess that's always an option, but I don't think we should.
Okay. Anyone else with questions? This really concludes our agenda. Does it not, Chris? Just want to make sure I'm not cutting you short.
Yeah, no, I'm good. No, the only thing would be old business, which there's none of, and then seeing if anybody has any new business, I guess.
Yes. Any new business someone would like to bring up at this point? No? Okay. Our next meeting will be January 4th, 21, and it will be virtual as well. You'll all get your notices accordingly. Do we vote on adjourning a meeting? I'm sorry.
Yeah, we need a motion. And
Motion to adjourn the meeting. Yvonne, thank you. Our meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thanks all.